Hey guys, welcome back. So we're continuing our talks on the Carnage series. We're now approaching round 2 for God Carnage versus Flash Thompson. But in addition to that, we're also seeing signs for the upcoming symbiote war that are continuing to make their way to the surface, though as we know, a lot of that is going to have to wait until after Blood Hunt. But nonetheless, as more of the elements of the symbiote secret war make their way to the surface, this now introduces us to a new weapon that could possibly take Carnage out for good. Though, to be honest, I'm not holding my breath for that to happen. But nonetheless, if you're enjoying these videos, make sure to drop a like, be sure to subscribe to catch the spills every week, and don't forget to hit that bell up top to get all notifications so we can squad up in the comments for the first hour. Alright, so for this one we come back immediately following Flash Thompson's escape from the Dark Force dimension, where Carnage was holding Flash as a prisoner while he went after Dylan, but during that time Flash was gathering as much strength as he could to make his escape as soon as Carnage came back. But mind you, back on Earth we're still dealing with a point in time that takes place before Blood Hunt, so as it stands things are kinda normal on Earth right now, kinda. But as we come back we find ourselves at Club Meltdown, in the middle of a metal band performance, where out of nowhere Flash Thompson comes crashing down through the ceiling. And it's kind of funny the way this happens because as soon as Flash gets here, he's trying to warn everyone to get out, because he knows that Carnage is following not too far behind him. And as he does, he tells the crowd all hell's about to let loose. So these guys are just like, yeah, looking like that's why we're here. And there's not even really enough time for Flash to tell them what exactly is going on here. These guys just think it's part of the show, at least until Carnage actually shows up, because then a bunch of them just go into panic mode. But for Flash, as he's taking on Carnage, he's still weakened from everything he went through in the Dark Dimension when he was reliving his past, trying to hold on until Carnage got back, let alone absorbing and dispersing all of that energy to use it against Carnage and get out of there. And on top of that, for some time, Flash does not turn into Anti-Venom, and mainly because he knows that's what Carnage wants. Because even now, much like we saw back in issue 4, Carnage wants Flash to use Anti-Venom against him so that he can build his immunity even further. Because even when we saw this happen back then, it was painful to Carnage. So at the time, Carnage took as much as he could, only to stop Flash so that Carnage could adapt and fight Flash again later, using the higher tolerance for Anti-Venom that Carnage now has. And the plan's been working out so far. But in the middle of trying to get Flash to bring out more Anti-Venom, the leader of this band whacks Carnage on the head with a cross, only to have Carnage turn around, take it from him, and return the favor. And he even cracks a joke like, do you know what we call this? Death metal. And I'm just like, man. But you know, I'm not gonna front, I chuckled when I first read it, because I mean, it is a metal band, or it was at least. So after this, for a moment we jump over to Liz Allen, who's recently noticed some irregularities within Alchemax, with money being moved to make purchases she didn't authorize. And to make it even stranger, she's denied access when she tries to look into it from her desk. So she takes a walk to go and ask some questions and find out what's going on. And mind you, for Liz at this point, this is after she already bonded with the Carnage Anti-Venom hybrid symbiote, like we talked about in the Cult of Carnage Misery series. And that also comes into play here, because what she ends up finding out is that there's also been experiments going on that she didn't know about, because samples of the Carnage symbiote were checked out months ago and then checked back in, only for them now to be marked as destroyed. So of course, finding this out, it disturbs her symbiote, because now it feels like someone set a trap for them, and now they're just waiting for it to snap. So from here, Liz turns into Misery, and she makes her way to figure out what this experiment is. Meanwhile, when we go back to Flash, who's fighting Carnage, at this point Flash has just decided to go ahead and turn it to Anti-Venom, because to him, he doesn't believe that he's going to make it out of this one. So because of that, he leans more into the idea of him not going out without a fight. But this whole time, just like we were shown before, this is what Carnage wants, because the more Flash uses Anti-Venom on Carnage, the stronger his resistance gets. And while this is happening, at the same time we follow Liz as she makes her way to where Alchemax has been doing these secret experiments, and it's here where she ends up finding a weapon that she more or less paid for that was likely designed to kill her. And she even admits that it's painful to her and her symbiote to just hold this thing, which in a way confirms to her what this weapon was designed to do. Meanwhile with Flash, he's come to the point where he's giving Carnage all the fight that he's got. And there's a moment here where Flash asks Carnage if he really thinks killing him will make him a god. But for Carnage, this isn't even about that. He's just using Flash to get what he wants, and at this point he's just ready to kill Flash because he finds him boring. And while this is going on, we're also shown that Liz made her way to Flash's apartment after picking up this weapon, and mainly to bring this weapon to him in hopes of it helping him out, since before, like we saw in issue 2, Flash had already asked for Liz's help since he had a feeling that Carnage was returning. And even then, Liz expressed that she could feel it too, though at the time she didn't do much to look into what Flash had to show her, and she only really entertained it as a way of helping a friend. But now, after the numerous murders and the random victims being put on display, Liz figured that Flash was the best person to take this weapon to, because there's also the idea of keeping it away from Alchemax after all. But while she's at Flash's apartment, she sees what he was watching on his laptop when no one else was there, which of course was a live stream from Travis Brookfield's. I mean, what you thought it was. But this is what ends up filling in Liz about where Flash is now because of the breaking news of Carnage slaughtering this metal band. And at this point, with Carnage getting ready to kill Flash, Flash has barely got anything left in him, so he tries to burn Carnage on the forehead, and Carnage is just like, it's painful, but like good painful. Not gonna lie, I'm kind of into it. But also in a way, I can't help but to think about the underlying drama going on between Cletus and Carnage. And only because of what we saw back in issue 6, when Carnage left Cletus to kill all those Eddies in the future, while Cletus was left here in the present, though he could still see what was going on, because we're also told even though Carnage came back to Cletus, there's this part of Cletus that just felt left out. And in a way, it just has me wondering if Cletus just has this extra chip on his shoulder now, or better yet, this greater desire to kill Flash with Carnage because of the victory it watched the Carnage symbiote get without him. Because remember, after these recent events, it's a very different Cletus that's in there now, though it might not seem that way. But nonetheless, in what looks to be the last moments for Flash Thompson, we're told at this point Flash is satisfied with the fight that he put up, and it even comes to the point where he feels calm and ready to die. But before it even comes to that, he hears a voice call his name, and it's Liz, who's now made her way here with the weapon that could quite possibly kill Carnage. But here's the thing, if Liz is right, and this weapon actually has what it takes to kill Carnage, then that means that it can very much kill her too. And this is something that we're reminded of here just as a way of showing, or pretty much saying, if this goes left, then this could be a wrap for Liz as well. And as soon as she gets here, she tells Carnage to let Flash go. But Carnage is like, wait a minute, who, or should I say, what are you? Because right away he recognizes what Liz has become. And right after that, he starts asking questions like, are you working for him? Who gave you the weapon? Which side are you on? But Liz really doesn't know what Carnage is talking about. But instead, really it's here where it's hinted that there's a lot more going on than what Liz had thought to begin with. Because these questions that Carnage is asking Liz, they're referring to the symbiote war that's building up, or depending on who you ask, is already here. But for a moment when Flash tells Carnage that she's just a friend, she's not involved with this, it's here where Carnage realizes that Flash doesn't know what Liz actually is. And I mean, Carnage in this moment refers to her as a thief just before knocking the gun out of her hand and hitting her with the scythe, but in a way it's kind of a double entendre since Carnage is referring to Liz stealing his symbiote, and there's also the idea of Liz stealing the weapon as well, since she didn't know anything about what Carnage was talking about. But as soon as she drops the gun, she yells to Flash to pick it up and shoot Carnage. And as soon as Flash goes for it, he gets kebabbed by Carnage, but just before he can take the gun from him, Flash is able to get off a shot, hitting Carnage right in the chest, which now just leaves us with the anticipation of finding out what this gun actually does, or what effect it'll have on Carnage from here. Since according to Liz, it should kill him, but of course, you know how that goes. And so now real quick, I want to give a special shout out to all the patrons. Thank you guys for all of your support. And for anyone who's new here who wants more information on how to support the channel, I got a link below where you can go to patreon.com/dopespill. But that'll do it for this one, guys. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and we'll do it again on the next one. Alright, later.